Imagine a land where two nations' dreams collided, a place where Mexico's fragile new independence met the restless ambition of American settlers. In the early 1800s, Texas was part of Mexico, but its vast open lands drew thousands of pioneers from the United States who sought opportunity and freedom. At first, the Mexican government welcomed them, hoping to strengthen its northern frontier. But soon differences in culture, language, religion, and governance sparked friction. When Antonio López de Santa Anna rose to power and scrapped Mexico's federalist system for his own centralized rule, the settlers felt betrayed and oppressed. Promises of autonomy dissolved into strict laws and heavy control. What began as hope turned into anger, and whispers of rebellion echoed across Texas. The path to the Alamo had already been laid long before the first shot was fired. Picture a small group of men staring down the impossible. Outnumbered, outgunned, and yet unwilling to back down. Inside the crumbling mission known as the Alamo, just about 200 defenders prepared to face Santa Anna's army of thousands. They weren't all the same. Some were Texian settlers, others Taíno allies, and a few were adventurers drawn by the promise of freedom. Among them stood names that would echo through history. William B. Travis, the fiery young commander; James Bowie, the legendary knife fighter bedridden with illness but unyielding in spirit; and Davy Crockett, the frontiersman whose rifle spoke for liberty. For nearly 2 weeks, these men held their ground, rationing food, strengthening walls, and writing final letters home. They knew their chances of survival were nearly zero, yet every hour they stood defiant, made their cause burn brighter. Dawn broke on March 6, 1836, with a thunder that shook the earth. Santa Anna's troops launched their final assault on the Alamo. For 13 relentless days, the defenders had endured cannon fire, sleepless nights, and the suffocating grip of siege. Now the storm was at their gates. The Mexican army, numbering in the thousands, poured over the walls as the defenders fired their last bullets, swung rifles like clubs, and fought room to room. Travis fell near the north wall. Bowie fought from his sick bed until he could no longer, and Crockett's final stand became legend, whether in battle or execution. When the smoke cleared, nearly every defender lay dead, their sacrifice echoing louder than any victory. The Alamo was lost, but their refusal to surrender transformed defeat into a story of undying courage. Remember the Alamo, 3 words that roared like thunder across Texas and beyond. In the wake of the bloodshed, grief turned into fury, and the fallen defenders became immortal symbols of resistance. Every Texian fighter carried their memory into battle, fueled by the vision of men who had chosen death over surrender. This cry was more than a slogan. It was a call to arms, a reminder that freedom demanded sacrifice, and that the lives lost at the Alamo could not be in vain. At San Jacinto just weeks later, Texian troops shouted those words as they stormed the Mexican camp, overwhelming Santa Anna's forces in a stunning victory. What began as a massacre at a mission transformed into the rallying cry that secured Texas's independence and etched the Alamo into the soul of America. Santa Anna believed the fall of the Alamo would crush the Texian spirit, but in truth it became his greatest blunder. By ordering a brutal assault and showing no mercy, he painted himself as a tyrant in the eyes of both rebels and sympathizers. Instead of fear, outrage spread like wildfire. Communities that had once hesitated to join the revolution now rushed to the cause, driven by the image of men slaughtered for their stand. The Alamo, which should have been a symbol of Santa Anna's strength, became a weapon against him. His obsession with glory blinded him to strategy, scattering his forces and leaving them vulnerable. What he thought was a decisive victory actually planted the seeds of his defeat, proving that cruelty on the battlefield often breeds resistance far stronger than fear. The Alamo was never just about walls and weapons. It became the birthplace of a Texas identity that would endure for generations. In the ashes of the battle, Texans found more than sorrow. They found a shared story of defiance and honor. The defenders, though from different backgrounds, Anglo settlers, Tejano allies, even men from distant states, were remembered as one united force standing against overwhelming odds. This unity forged a sense of pride that shaped Texas into more than a place on the map. It became an idea, a spirit of independence and resilience. Myths soon mingled with facts, painting the Alamo as both tragedy and triumph, a tale parents passed to children as a lesson in courage. Through this legacy, Texans began to see themselves not as survivors of defeat, but as heirs to a legacy of freedom. The Alamo story did not end in 1836. It became a symbol woven deep into the fabric of America. For generations, the battle has stood as a reminder that the fight for freedom often demands the ultimate sacrifice. From classrooms to movies, from monuments to military mottos, remember the Alamo echoes as a call to courage, resilience, and unity. It shaped not only Texas pride, but also the American spirit, proving that even in the face of impossible odds, the will to stand for liberty can outlive death itself. And that is why the Alamo is more than history. It is a legend that continues to inspire. If you want to uncover more untold stories that shaped the United States, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and join us on the journey through America's hidden past.